How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of FTB Infinity Evolved here in Minecraft. Hope you guys have been enjoying the series so far. If you guys have, you guys know what to do. Smash that like button if we haven't already. Consider subscribing, it really helps out the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns for me, leave those down below. And with all of that out of the way, let's get into today's episode. So, we are definitely getting closer to our goal of kind of wrapping up the series. But in order to do that, we need to do a couple more things. So last episode we finished off with getting everything set up we need to build our dimension. However, as previously stated, I don't know where I left it. I think it's down here. In order to actually build this dimension that we want, so if we actually store everything in here, notice we're going to need over 1,000,000 RF to just create the thing, right? And then to maintain it, we're going to need about 500,000 RF. Now, the 1,000,000 RF to create it shouldn't be too hard. We can kind of bootstrap our way to that. Now, the maintaining it part, however, we currently don't really have that, because even with all of our power generation that we currently have available to us, we're limited, right? So our big reactor here only is able to generate about 25,000 RF a tick, which is enough to power the base and a couple more things. The other big reactor, our biggest reactor, when it's fully powered, it's able to get us about 120, 150,000. So still not quite there, not quite what we need. So altogether, we could probably scrape together about 200,000, 250,000 if we really pushed everything we have generating power for us. But that's not the 500,000 we need, and even if it was, that means the quarry wouldn't have any power. That means the base itself wouldn't have any power. So we're gonna have to look into a couple things. So one of the alternatives that I think we're gonna get into is the Draconic Evolution Reactor. Now, a couple things are going to be important to note. It is gonna be really good for us. However, there's quite a few warnings in all of this text that are, if you don't do it correctly, things go boom. And a lot of the warnings that I've seen are, if you don't do things correctly, things go boom. And it's not like little boom, like a block of TNT. No, it is a large area of all you can see boom. So we're going to have to put it somewhere that it's close enough to the base, because I want to be able to see it. Even though technically I don't need to be able to see it. Once it's set up, it could be in all the way in I don't know, some direction or some height. I guess we could put it on that slime island. But what I'm thinking is, I think we're going to put it over here. I think we're going to put it probably about maybe on this island, or at the very least, I guess we could center it right in front of the base, put it like right here, build an artificial little outclove for it. Just so that way it's somewhat contained, a little bit surrounded by water to help mitigate any damage should it go boom. And then, worst case, we could always build like a little dam or a little dike, I guess, of water to prevent anything. But it's fairly self-sufficient once we get going, which is nice to see. Now, for the most part, it seems fairly straightforward for what we need to make. Let's see if we can find the recipes. There's a few we're gonna need. Let's see. Reactor. There we go. So we're gonna need a core. It takes the Chaos Shard, some Awakened Draconium. Then we also are gonna need a Reactor Energy Injector. So it does take a little bit of energy to kind of get going, but once it's going, it's self-sustained. And then we're also going to need to make, I believe it's 4 stabilizers, which will also need some stabilizer frames, inner rotor, outer rotors. So we're going to need diamonds and all those fun things. And then, of course, the whole assembly is the whole thing, and then the focus ring. So once we do that, I believe we need 4 of those, 1 core, 1 energy injector. I think that's the bare minimum we need, and then some other things. And then, of course, again, tons of warnings about, oh, well, if you don't do things, things are going to go boom. We need to make sure it's between 2,000 and 8,000 degrees. At 10,000 degrees, the field will be suffering 10 times the load it was under the 8,000 degrees, and so on and so forth. Basically, 8,000 is effectively kind of that both upper limit, but also the most optimal to be running it at. Yeah, 10 to 200 block radius, depending on how much fuel was in it. So we probably also are going to check to make sure that we're at least 200 blocks away. I don't know. Maybe we'll just do like 100. We'll figure it out where we're gonna put it. I might not put it here. I might just put it up in the sky or something. And then just use. No, we just jetpack up to it. So there's tons of information in here. Definitely, if you want, go through and read all this, because I don't read directions for these things. I am of the mindset where when I get an IKEA furniture item, I don't use the directions at first. I look at the picture and try to figure it out based on the picture. And when that inevitably fails, or I don't have all the parts, I then look at the instructions and realize that we used the wrong screws in the wrong holes or something. But that's usually after hours of trying to troubleshoot it without, you know, actually looking at the directions. So that's how we're going to do this. It could end horribly, but that's why we're going to, you know, take some precautions and not build it in the base like I initially wanted to. As you can see, be warned. It is not known why, but if 100% of the Draconium is converted into chaos, the reaction does not simply stop. Instead, it begins to rise uncontrollably, and if this happens, there's no way we can shut it down, and we're basically screwed. It's highly recommended that you shut the reactor down to refuel once the chaos gauge reaches 80 to 90%. So these are certain things. So unlike previous reactors that we've seen, like the big reactors, which just stop making energy if they run out of fuel, or even the IC2 reactors that stop working once they run out of fuel, this does not. If it runs out of fuel, it goes critical, basically, because think of it as an actual reactor. So although it has run out of fuel, the reaction is still operating. However, it's not producing energy. So you could just think of it as a reaction that's not producing us energy, which is then not powering the containment field, which then makes it go boom. Now, technically, that's not exactly how it works, because the containment field is still in place and it's still existing. However, it's just more kind of an end mechanic, or I guess a wipe mechanic you could think of it as, for anybody who's played like a Destiny raid, or a Lost Ark raid even. That's pretty much what it ends up being, is you get kind of screwed. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to somewhat automate that. I think let's see, our open, no, it's not that. Yes, okay, so they are in this. Good. So ComputerCraft is in this, which means we can use these to basically write a script. And I may or may not write one myself. I might just find one and use that, because I don't know how complex it will be. It shouldn't be too complex. This is Minecraft. But yeah, we're gonna use a script. We'll automate it. I'm thinking, the more I'm thinking about it, I think we're just gonna stick it up here in the sky. So worst case, if it explodes, it's gonna explode way up here. But it only, you know, destroys the blocks that we used to create it, and then we have to then go kill another Chaos Guardian, which was not fun, but, you know. Okay, it was fun in that it was difficult for Minecraft, but it wasn't fun actually doing. So, I think we're going to get a couple of the things set up. I'm going to try to get all the blocks made up, and then I'll meet you back, I guess, up here above the base, and then we'll try to figure out how to actually get this thing working and not blow up. So with that, I will get crafting, and I will see you guys back in about a second. Alright, so we are back. So I went ahead and made ourselves an angel block. I made up some cryo-stabilized flux ducts, because these have an infinite RF per tick that we're going to need. I also made ourselves another tesseract, a world anchor, and I didn't know if I needed the advanced computer or just the regular one, so I made both. Made up ourselves the reactor energy injector, 4 reactor stabilizers, a Draconic reactor core, and then lastly a flux gate, because we need to be able to control the input and the output of the whole reactor. So, I'm also going to need some blocks. Let's just grab some basalt. Sure. Let's just go like so. I'm not sure how big this thing needs to be, actually. So let me double check that. Let's see. Wireless transmitter, receiver, particle generator, sure. Reactor, okay. Basic explanation. Structural setup. Consists of 6 main components. Yep. Oh, okay. Looks like we'll need a second flux gate. Okay, that shouldn't be too hard to go make. Place the reactor core at the intended center of the structure in a ring. Do not need to be in a horizontal ring. You may place one above and one below the core. Up to 8 blocks away. Okay, so we're going to make sure that they're far enough away that we can technically have this thing be as large as we'll need it to be. I don't know how everything's going to quite work just yet for spacing, but we'll figure it out. Alright, so we need to place 4 of the stabilizers in a ring around the core, each facing inwards. We don't need them to be horizontal, so that's good. I mean, I'm going to just do them horizontal because that will just be easiest. All set up. They can be up to 8 blocks away. They must also be far enough away that they will do not be consumed by the expansion of the core as you continue to energize it to twice its original size when at max temperature. So if you intend for the core to reach maximum capacity, placed a minimum of 4 blocks away. To test for adequate linkage to the core, simply right click on, or I guess right click one, and there's a typo, of the stabilizers, and then will open. If all 4 are set up correctly, the reactor status should show as offline, otherwise the status will be invalid. Okay. If the GUI does not open at all, break and replace the stabilizer, making sure that there are no blocks between the core and the stabilizer. Okay, so let's do that. So we want, I believe it's the injector, well, not quite how the injector is, I'm pretty sure supposed to go. Where is, I keep pressing tab because I forget what game I was playing. Or oh, well, that block's there now. Where tab is the inventory. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 will be that. 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. A lot of RF that thing can generate. Let's see, is it where I'm facing? Yes. That is a very tiny core. Is it supposed to be that tiny? I'm gonna assume so. Okay. I'm gonna go 1 further up, just. I think this is supposed to be the other way, so we're gonna just move this. So it's then the direction I'm facing. Some blocks are the direction you're facing, and some blocks are facing you. I like when it faces... Actually, I don't know. There's instances where I want the block to face me, but then there's instances like this where I want it to face where I'm looking. So I don't know. Alright, so then, I don't know if we need to power all of these. Let's see, okay, cool. So it doesn't look like we have to click any one thing specifically. It actually looks like we do just literally click these. Okay, so it looks like we have the core temperature. Right now it's at 20°. We can't go above 8,000, which I think is this upper limit or somewhere in here, and we want it to be above 2,000. In between those two ranges is where it produces. The next thing is the containment field strength. We pretty much want this to always be at max, I believe. We also have energy saturation and fuel conversion level. Fuel conversion level is basically our warning. We don't want it to be too high. As previously talked about in the tablet, it tells us that if it's 80 to 90% is when you should change it. So we're going to have to figure out a way to basically turn the reactor off when it hits 80%. So that way we have plenty of time to come in and reload and change it. I don't know if we'll be able to automate that in any way, but we'll see. And then, of course, inserting and extracting fuel. Cool. So then this little thing right here is how we regulate the energy. So we're going to go like that. Low control. So redstone signal high will vary between the two given values depending on the strength of the redstone signal being supplied. Okay. Oh, cool. I can just scroll for the RF tick. That's good to know. And then this injects the energy. Okay. I don't know if we have to do anything with the core. I don't think we do. Okay, well, I know one of the... Do we have to power all of these? I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit more time to look at these things and to figure out if I need to power them all or just one of them. Because I don't want to blow things up and have to go fight another Chaos Guardian, so I'm going to be right back. Okay, so after some research, I figured out we can use computer craft, and we need to use the advanced computer. However, the script I was trying to get to work, I couldn't figure out why it didn't want to load. I don't know if it's just an outdated script or what. So I think I'm going to have to either end up making my own script or continue looking for one. If you guys know of a good script for this, by all means, leave that down below because that will save me some time. If not, for now, we're going to run this manually. I'm not going to keep it on. I'm going to turn it on just for the purposes of this video, and then hopefully things work, and if they do, great. If not, then we'll run there. So let's go ahead and hit turn on power. So we're receiving power. Okay. And then power. Sending power. Okay. So the way this effectively works is, so here we have the input. So this will inject fuel, or rather, this will inject power into the core. The core will then do its thing, heat up, power up, all those fun things. And then if we extract energy, that will go here and go into the network. Now, this can be self-sufficient. However, as we extract more power, this thing will heat up and get more unstably. So we're going to turn this on and see what happens. So it's charging. So what that means is, so if we take a look at some things, I don't know if we'll be able to see if anything's actually moving. We'll probably be able to see it better in here. So it says it's charging. Something doesn't seem to be working. Power, receiving. So it should be receiving power. It's flowing at 30,000. It says it's for sure going in. Okay, what if we disable that one for now? Nothing's increasing. It has fuel. Okay. I mean, I know this doesn't really have a whole lot of energy, but... Okay, so let's turn this thing back on. Is this thing draining? No. It does have a comparator mode. Why is it not? Ignore. Why are you taking no energy in? Okay, that's strange, because it should be taking at least some energy in. Can I just click on any of these to see? Yeah, because the containment field should at least be charging. Because it says it's charging up. I don't... And this isn't going down, and this is the only thing that should be powering it. Okay. No, that still has power. Okay, now I'm just fucking confused, because nothing is doing anything. Because this should be injecting energy into this. Starting to think this whole thing might be a little broken. Huh. You know, I'm starting to think reading directions in this game might be a little imperative. Let's see, flow gates. I should probably turn the sound back on. I just realized I had it off. I'm like, why do I not hear anything? And yeah. Okay, so it should be flowing in, but it isn't. That's not drained. Huh. Okay. Give me like a minute or two, and I'm gonna try to figure out why this isn't taking any energy in. I don't know, maybe I have to stick this thing higher. I will be right back. Okay, so I'm not sure what happened, but I was able to get it to work. After a lot of lagging, and some other things, I finally got this thing to start charging. So I just moved some things, I replaced this whole thing down here, and I apparently discovered, there is an error between Tesseracts and the Flux Gates for transporting energy, so I might have to switch these over to the Draconic Evolution wireless energy. I don't know why that exists, or if it's in this version, but through some research, that is what I discovered. So now the containment field is generating. As you can see, it's going to be very slow, but it's happening. This thing is slowly draining our reserves. Very, very slowly. I do want to actually make the other thing from Draconic Evolution as well. Basically the battery version of this. The energy core. It effectively allows us to store energy in the same scenario, but I believe we could store it actually at the base with no risk of it going boom, where this has a lot of risk of it going boom. So the way this effectively works, from what little I gathered, is we always need a containment field. If there's no containment field, things go bad. 0% is bad. We always want containment field. If fuel conversion gets about above 80 to 90%, that's about the safe spot for where you want to turn the thing off and refuel it, because you can't refuel it right now as it is. You just can't. You have to turn it off and then refuel. So you can usually use the fuel conversion to determine when that is. The other thing is core temp. We want it between 2 and 8,000. That's kind of the sweet spot. 8K is like that most optimal maximum limit before the peak of oblivion. And then lastly, we have energy saturation, which not really sure how this one works. I read into it, don't understand it enough, but basically if we pull energy out, core goes up, this goes down or something. I don't know. I'll tweak it. I'll have to keep reading into it and try to, you know, wrap my head around it. But basically this thing will self-sustain itself with energy, and eventually we'll get a script going, so that way it will auto shut down if it goes over temp, and we'll also have it auto shut down if the fuel conversion gets too high. And that's kind of what this eerie blackness is that's effectively the chaos, right? And so it takes Awakened Draconium, it takes 8 blocks to saturate the whole thing. And then Let's see, it still says it's charging. So at some point, this should start to heat up, and once it does, we'll start seeing some energy. So I don't think it's going to be able to do that today, because this is going to take quite some time with our crappy energy production. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is put in a cut here. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. Hopefully by then this thing will be somewhat functioning. And in between episodes, I'm going to work on getting ourselves that battery put together. Actually, you know what? No. I think we're going to do next episode, we'll do the Draconic battery as well. Just so that way you guys can see that, and we'll do that in the base. And then probably the episode after that, we'll do Tier 6 Blood Altar. That sounds like a plan. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But with that, hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, you guys know what to do. Smash the like button if you learned something. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns for me, leave those down below. And like I said earlier, if you guys have a script for the reactors, leave the link for that down below. Or if it's just a really short program, all those fun things, leave that in the comment section. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing, as it really helps out the channel. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Peace out. Hopefully this thing doesn't go boom.